Hello dear jewelry channel, welcome to this tutorial. This video is about the almighty 3D jewelry settings asset in Blender. Today I'm going to show how to customize the soft cabochon settings. I'm going to go in alphabetical order of the gemstone shapes in the assets. So as always, start a new file and go to File, Append, go to the asset, go to Collections. This is the first one, Asher, Cabochon settings, 2 variants, and 1000 grands, append. All the elements are showing we have the simple bezel and the double bezel and the 2 corresponding profiles. And we have the 1000 grands and the 1000 grands path. Okay, we're going to be working on the simple bezel first, so let's hide the other elements from the viewport. I'm going to keep the gemstone, but something I want to show you. Here, this sphere is part of the 1000 grands hierarchy, because sooner or later you're going to see it here in the viewport and you're going to ask yourself, what is this little sphere doing here? So obviously important, don't erase it. It's part of the 1000 grands. So it's from the 1000 grands hierarchy and you can hide it right here. Let's bring back the gem. So now, typical situation, the gem, I want it bigger or smaller. I want it to a specific size. So here, the gem is 6.38 millimeters real life. Let's say I want it 15 millimeters right here. Copy paste the Z-scale. Now I'm going to take the bezel and turn on the X-rays. Let's go to edit mode. So here I see I have a quarter of the shape because we work with mirrors. So first, exit edit mode, do a Shift S, cursor to selected. Now go to edit mode and select the 3D cursor transform pivot point here. That's very important. Now select everything with A. And now you can scale. First, scale this curve shape of the bezel. Here, focus more here on the inside. And then we're going to exit edit mode and take the bezel profile. It's also a curve. Let's go to edit mode. So now here I can go back to the median point transform pivot point. And we're going to adapt the size and design of the bezel. So here I can come up there. With the transparency, we can see the solid bezel and the shape of the gem. So it's fairly easy to adapt. Okay, so front view, X-rays, and here I can follow the shape of the new size gemstone here, and I can do so very precisely. So here I can work on the outside, okay, and here this is the bottom part, the support for the gem, very important. We need more support, so let's come in here, okay, and very probably we need more thickness. So let's take the floor and let's make it thicker. Now let's say you want a specific thickness. Here add a cube, we want 2 millimeters. Okay, so now we can see that we're pretty far of the desired thickness. So let's go back to the bezel profile, edit mode, and let's work on this specific thickness. So here we're going to have 2 millimeters and let's readapt the shape. So here you can design whatever shape you like. If you want more vertices, select the vertices, go to W menu and subdivide, and you get new vertices. Here I want more, you can subdivide here again, and here if you want more cuts, just add the cuts right there, okay? So you can make very complex shapes and designs for the bezel as you might need. Okay, and down here I can go also at 2 millimeters. And maybe here I want some angle. Okay, so this is the new bezel adapted for a gemstone of 15 millimeters. And that's how it works. Now we can change the size of the 1000 grands. Let's see how it's done. So I'm going to show the 1000 grands. Here it is. We want it bigger. So we have the 1000 grands and we have the path of the 1000 grands. Here we can see with the transparency. So it's also the quarter of the shape. Then we use mirrors on the 1000 grands. Select the path, do a Shift S, cursor to selected, go to edit mode, go to 3D cursor for the transform pivot point right here. Select everything with A and scale. Let's come roughly here. Exit edit mode. So we need bigger spheres. So let's go to the 1000 grands hierarchy, open it here. And remember the sphere we had earlier? Here it is. show it. So now I'm going to hide the gemstone to do this part of the scaling. So the sphere is here. I can scale the sphere and it's going to scale on the milligram like this. So maybe I want it exactly 2 millimeters. Here, dimensions, 2 millimeters. Okay. Now let's select the milligram. We need to adapt the amount of spheres and the distance between the spheres. So first I need more distance. Here. And maybe in fact, I don't need more spheres. I like it like this. Otherwise, maybe I want less spheres. Let's go at 6 with more distance. That's too much. Let's go at 8 and let's keep adapting. Let's go at 9. Here, I can tweak this. Here, I can move the milligram itself to change its position. Or I can take the path, go to edit mode and move the control points of the curve in edit mode to readapt the position of the spheres for the milligram using the path in edit mode. Let's go out of edit mode. Here I completed the scaling of the milligram. We can see the process is pretty simple. Great, now I'm going to work with the other shapes in the asset and show the adaptation and customization process to see the specifics. Let's go to File, Append. Let's go to the asset, collections. Next one is cushion, cabochon settings, 2 variants, and milligram. Here we go. Here I'm going to make the gem smaller to a specific size and adapt the bezel for an eternity ring. So I'm going to make the cushion gemstone 3 millimeters wide. I'm going to copy paste the scale to all the axis and I'm going to make it 3 by 4, changing the proportion a bit. Now here I'm going to work on the double bezel. So let's hide the simple one. Here let's select the double bezel, Shift S, cursor to selected, go back to edit mode, use the 3D cursor pivot point, select everything with A and scale down. Front view, let's adapt roughly to the gemstone here. Now side view to adapt the proportion. So let's scale on the y-axis. Here we can see the transparency with the X-rays where the bezel ends. Here, exit edit mode. Don't forget to save and be happy. Now here, obviously, I need to adapt the thickness of the bezel and I want to design an eternity ring. So first, front view, add mesh circle, size 8 American, so it's radius 9.1, vertices 200, align to the view. I'm going to center my circle to 0 right there. This is the size 8 reference. Now I'm going to take the gem and the bezel with shift. I'm going to move this up here, turn on the X-rays. Now, for 3D printing and casting in jewelry, the minimum recommended thickness is 0.5 millimeters, 5 decimals. So I'm going to add mesh cube 0.5 millimeters to have a reference. So let's take the gem and the bezel again and let's move it higher so we have at least 0.5 millimeters. Here is my small reference. Let's call it actually cube 0.5 millimeters ref. Save and be happy. Now here I'm going to adapt the bezel. So the profile is right there. Let's bring it here closer to the action. Now let's go to edit mode and we can work on customizing the bezel. So I'm going to select the bottom part here. I'm going to exaggerate this part. We're going to cut it later. Now let's take my little cube reference. Here we're good. Here I want more thickness in this occasion. Let's go back to the profile. Let's take the outside wall, these vertices, and thicker on the x-axis there. Pretty good. This is good for now. Exit edit mode, save and be happy. Now here, the height of the bezel depends if you want it for manufacturing or for rendering. So if you want more metal for the setting, take that part up. Also, maybe you want to adapt the rotation here to make it straighter like this. So obviously adapt the design here. Okay, this is more for manufacturing. But actually, I want this for rendering. So let me adapt this on the Z-axis to the stone. So here we can see the stone with the X-rays. So this is perfect. Let's adapt this exactly to the new smaller gemstone. Following the gemstone exactly, let's readapt the rest of the design and customize the shape, tweak as needed. So here I can take all this, erase. Here I'm going to subdivide 2 times, adapt this, maybe even less angle, to be much lower, like this. I like it. Exit edit mode. So here, let me hide these elements. I'm not going to use the milligram here. Okay, I want to make an eternity ring. So add empty plane axis, center this, call it empty multiplier here. Now let's take the bezel, go to modifiers, add modifier array, not relative. It's going to be from object offset. The object is the empty multiplier right there. Here on the bezel, we need to make a control A, all transforms. And now let's put a count of 12. We'll tweak that. Let's take the empty and work on the y-axis angle. That's the multiplier. So if we have a count of 12, let's make 360 degrees divided by 12. In Blender, you can make mathematical operation in almost any numerical entry. Here, okay, this is pretty good because they are touching already. So this is pretty okay to make the structure of an eternity ring. Now let's take the gemstone, add modifier, array, count 12, offset from the object. The object is the empty multiplier. Here, we also need a control A, all transforms on the gem. Good. Save and be happy. We still have some little tweaks to do. Okay, so for the finger of the ring, let's take the size 8 reference. Let's make a copy, Shift D. Let's go to edit mode. Everything is selected. Close with F. Move slightly to the side. Here, exit edit mode. Add modifier, solidify. A pretty nice thickness. Here, check the face orientation. Everything is blue. Everything is good. Now, let's take the bezel. Here, we're going to need a Boolean subtraction difference Boolean to remove the finger size from the bezels. But in Blender, you can't use the Boolean modifier on a curve element, and the bezels are made of curves. So we'll have to convert them to meshes, and that means that we're going to lose at that point the editability of these bezels. So it means that before going to the Boolean step to make the eternity ring, you need to be done with the customization. Well, otherwise, you'll have to come back to the curves, adapt your customization to whatever you need, make a copy maybe, and then convert that to a mesh again to make the difference Boolean. So before moving forward, I'm going to tweak my customization because I want more details to my ring. So here, I'm going to add mesh plane aligned to the view. This is going to be 1 millimeter. So let's move this up a bit. We have space and thickness there. Let's center it on the y-axis. Now go to edit mode. I'm going to take that. Global coordinates 0 on X. I'm going to extrude here, that, and here I'm going to follow slightly the curvature of the finger here. Now, mirror modifier. So for that, Control A, all transforms. Then add modifier, solidify, offset 0, and thickness here. Okay, this is plane, ridge, cutter. Add a bevel modifier and a subdivision surface modifier. Level 3, shade auto smooth, bevel, 2 segments for major sharpness. Just save this. Now let's take the bezel profile, X-rays. Here I'm going to move this up so it's a lot higher. Let's see if I can fit more counts. So let's take bezels, the array, let's try 13. Obviously we need to take the empty multiplier and we adapt the angle. So 360 degrees divided by 13. I can fit more, I can fit 14, maybe even 15. So let's go at 360 degrees divided by 15. That's too much. So 300 degrees divided by 14. So now for the count on the count 14. Okay, now let's take the gem. In edit mode, select the entire gem and adapt the position of the gem in edit mode. So the gem belongs here. Exit edit mode, count 14. Okay, now this bridge cutter, add an array based on the same empty multiplier here, count 14. So now here, I want the milligram to be part of this eternity ring design. Let's take the path and the milligram. In object mode, we're going to move that into position here, higher, roughly here. Now let's take the path. Let's make Shift S, cursor to selected, go to edit mode, select everything, then use the 3D cursor pivot point, and let's scale. Adapt to the smaller bezel, so the 1000 gras makes contact. Don't worry about the overlapping spheres right now. We'll tweak that pretty soon. Exit edit mode, select the 1000 gras and adjust the count. Adjust the count and the distance if necessary. Here, very slightly more. So this is now exactly fitting here. Now here I want to multiply this 1000 gras to decorate the entire eternity ring. But again, here we're working with a curve path and then the 1000 gras element, and we have some position. If I make a control A location, we're going to have a conflict between the position of the path and the 1000 gras element. So we're not going to do that. To solve that, these spheres are instances. So what I need to do is make a control A, make instances real. So this releases all the instances, all the spheres here. I can select them. So let's select the released instances spheres here, local view with diagonal on the numpad to watch my spheres. Here I have the sphere with the lighter orange, so I can join Control J to that. This is going to be my 1000 gras cushion for the ring. Let's adapt the name so we know what's what. Out of local view, don't forget to hide the 1000 gras and the path so we don't get confused. From the instances, let's make a control A, all transforms, create new object data users and apply transformation. Click, we want that. This is a new object now. And we're going to add a modifier array with the same object offset from the empty multiplier and the same count, that is 40. And now let's go back to the bezels that are curves, and we need them to be meshes so we can make the boolean and subtract these cutters and the finger size cutter. So let's take the bezel, make a copy, Shift D, let's hide the original, local view. Okay, these are not instances. This is just a normal curve element with modifiers. Let's go to object, convert to mesh. This applies all the modifiers, and let's call this element double bezel meshed. Don't forget to hide the other double bezels or elements so you don't get confused. Out of local view. Now this is a mesh, so we can add modifier boolean, difference, fast solver. Let's remove the finger size. It's making the boolean. Okay. Don't forget to check that it's working. So here it's failing. Don't worry, there's an easy fix. Remove the boolean, add a remesh modifier first, find the resolution that suits you. I'm going to go at 0.3, and now add boolean modifier, different fast solver, finger size here. Okay, make a local view to check the result. This is now perfect. General view, we can hide this cutter for the finger size, also from rendering. And now let's take the bezels again. I want to remove my bridge cutter. So let's add another boolean here, fast solver, and let's remove these bridges. Okay, let's hide these cutters and let's have a look at the result. This is great. This is what I wanted. This is great. This customization is completed. I want some render preview. Great. Render preview. This file has no environment, no camera, no light. Let's go to File, Append. Let's go to the asset. Go to the World folder. Double click on the world. Now go to World here. And at the top, it's going to be the new appended world. That's world 001. Here, now we have the HDR from the asset. Looking pretty good already. Now let's go to File, Append. We're in the asset. Go up one level. Let's go to the collections here. And we have a camera set collection. Append this. Okay, so we have the ground plane here. Let's adapt its position to the ring here. Now let's take the camera. Okay, the camera is too close. Let's select the camera. Let's move it there. Okay, here I need to adapt the resolution to something square. And it's orthographic, so we can adapt the distance here to fit the ring. Pretty nice. Now clip and put something further away. 5,000 should be fine. Now we have one point light. Let's check its position. Move it up there to the left, somewhere here. Okay, that's pretty nice. Maybe to the right. Let's have a look. It's a bit nicer. Now I want sharper shadows, so the radius of the light make it smaller. Let's go to 3 and tweak the strength here. Maybe higher here and further away. Okay, that's pretty nice. Let's tweak the color of the ground. Let's make it blue. I want the floor to be more metallic, less roughness, something like this. And check that the elements that you want are in the render and the rest is removed from the render, especially the cutters or the initial elements. Okay, check that. Do an F12 for rendering. And let's watch the magic happen. This is one example of customization and adaptation of the cushion soft bezel. Here, the double bezel with 1000 gras. Don't forget to go to Image, Save your render, RGB, zero compression, cushion, double bezel, eternity ring, size 8. Save and be happy. Okay, next setting on the list. Let's go to File, Append, Collection, Emerald cabochon settings, 2 variants, and 1000 gras. Here we are. Let's customize this emerald shape cabochon. Let's select the gem. Let's make it bigger here. Now I'm going to work with the simple bezel. Hide the rest. Select the bezel. Shift S, cursor to selected. Let's go to edit mode. Select everything with A. 3D cursor pivot point. Scale. Bring it close to the gem new size. Somewhere here. Exit edit mode. Now select the bezel profile curve. Front view. Bring it here close to the action. Let's go to edit mode. Let's start editing the inside part to follow the gemstone accordingly. Keep tweaking and adapting. Here I'm going to erase all these vertices. I want to adapt this part of the design. Select this now. W. Subdivide. 12 cuts. Now here I want many more ridges. Here I want more subdivisions. 1, 2, 3. Keep customizing your new bezel. Now here on the inside, subdivide a couple of times. I want this part to avoid unnecessary weight. Let's have a look under here. Something like this. Exit edit mode. Checking the design now. I need to adapt the proportion. Select the bezel. Edit mode. Here. Select these vertices. Side view, transparency, readapt here, we're good, exit edit mode. Now another advice here for the shape. I want my ridges here to be more even in size. So add mesh circle to the view, radius 0.5, 0.4, whatever you want. Let's move that up here. Edit mode, Shift D to make a copy of the vertices, Shift D again here and another time here. Exit edit mode, go to the bezel profile curve, edit mode, and start tweaking to this specific size. Make all the subdivisions you need for your new shape. So thanks to that, I have a reference for the shape and for the specific size. It makes my work a lot more precise and efficient. This is the new shape, exit edit mode, save and be happy. If you want the setting to be softer, rounder, select the bezel, go to modifiers and delete the bevel modifier. Here, this is much rounder, much smoother. Now, I want to use the 1000 gras to make some customized decorations. I want something else than spheres. So first, let's take the path of the 1000 gras, Shift S, cursor to selected, edit mode, select everything with A. Don't forget 3D cursor pivot point. Scale. Here maybe I need to tweak these specific positions to follow the new shape of the customized bevel, but I want these decorations to be lower, so let's start lowering this here. Exit edit mode. Don't forget to save and be happy. Now let's select this little sphere. So remember, this sphere is here in the 1000 gras hierarchy. You can show it and hide it here. Select the sphere, go to edit mode. So all of that are instances of this single sphere. Top view. Cursor to selected. If it's not already here, go to median point this time because we're going to create a new mesh. Delete all the vertices, add plane, merge at center. Now we're going to create, let's start extruding this. Extrude with the E key, extrude, extrude, extrude. Let's create a new decoration. So the 1000 gras has a lot more potential than you might think. That's why it's inside the asset, obviously. Close here with F. Now, check that the orientation is correct. Here, make an A, select everything, front view, extrude on the X-axis, scale, close with F. Exit edit mode. Here I'm going to add a mirror modifier on the X-axis like this. Make a local view. Now here I need to tweak this. Select everything. Alt N. Recalculate the normals to the outside. Now this is corrected. Exit edit mode. General view. Now here adapt the array count. This seems about right. Select the decoration. Add a bevel modifier and readapt the order. Put the mirror modifier first, then the bevel, then the subdivisions. Shade smooth. This seems about right. Now I need to tweak the rotation of my new decorations. Select the 1000 gras, Control A, make instances real. Okay, now hide the 1000 gras maker here from view and render. Now here I'm going to do this by hand. It's a bit slower, but I can adjust the position and rotation as needed. So it means, and I've decided, I can rotate and move each instance however I need, whenever I need, with a lot of freedom. This would not be possible with the geometry nodes. Using geometry nodes, obviously it would be faster to adapt the rotation of each instance to the normal of the curve, so to face to the outside. But here I want to rotate and also adapt the position at the same time. So it's a bit slower, yes, obviously, but we keep more flexibility, more customization possibilities. And that's something I've decided for this asset. And also it works with many more versions of Blender. That's also something I wanted. It was important for me to reach a wider public with this 3D jewelry settings asset. So rotate and adapt the positions here. Then we're going to see something. So this is the last one. I don't need to make all the other ones. So here, these are all the first instances in the list. Now let me select the next ones. Here in the outliner with Shift, select everything and delete all these useless instances. Now here, this one, I want exactly minus 90 degrees and 0 on the y-axis. Adapt the rest as needed. Check the contact. This is great. Now here, the first instance need a mirror on the y-axis based on the gem or whatever angle works for you. Then the last instance needs a mirror on the x-axis from the gemstone here, and all the in-between instances here, select them with Shift in the outliner. Now we're not going to join them. You would need to make them as meshes. You might do that if you want. You might convert to mesh and then join them all. But what we can do is add modifier X and Y axis from the gem and go to Object, Link Transfer, Copy Modifiers, because all these elements, objects are using exactly the same modifiers. So here we are, and this is great. The power of the 1000 gras in the asset is much bigger than you might think, but now you know. And this is why you might be proud of using this 3D jewelry settings asset here in Blender. You're going to be able to create much more complex jewelry designs a lot faster. Let us make a quick render preview. This is an emerald, so I want green color. Let's go to append to the materials in the asset, the simple green. Here, let's put the simple green crystal here for the emerald, and let's make the render preview. Let's bring the camera set with the light. Let's show the ground plane here. Let's adapt position here, have a nice reflection. Let's tweak the light position here. Nice. Customizing here the emerald bezel. This is another great example of customized 1000 gras with a new shape and size for the cabochon bezel. And so for the heart, marquise, oval, pier, and trillion soft bezel shapes, use the same procedures. Shift S, cursor to selected, go to edit mode, select everything, scale, then exit edit mode, adapt the 1000 path or the design of the 1000 sphere, then adapt the profile of the bezel, make it into any design that you need. Okay, so now let's append the square shape. Append square cabochon settings, 2 variants plus 1000. Here we are. So at first, it obviously looks the same. Now select the gemstone, do a Shift S, cursor to selected, and go to edit mode. So here we're going to see the slight difference. The vertices are on the diagonal. That's because the square shape has a screw modifier with only 4 steps, thus creating the square shape. So if you want to edit the scale, that's the same. Select everything, use the 3D cursor pivot point, and scale the gem here. If you want to edit the shape of the gem, I advise you to rotate from the center 3D cursor 45 degrees, go to front view, edit the shape of the gem however you need. Then select everything, top view, rotate back minus 45 degrees to edit the shape of the square cabochon gem. Would you come to require it? You can do it. I'm going to undo this modification. So the vertices are on the diagonal, okay? So it's slightly different here. Scale the gem, exit edit mode. Now select the bezel and go to edit mode. Here we don't have a curve making the bezel. The bezel is directly the solidified vertices. So if you want to edit this bezel, same, select the bezel, out of edit mode, do a Shift S, cursor to selected, go to edit mode on the bezel, use the 3D cursor pivot point, select everything, rotate 45 degrees from the top view, now go to the front view, move on the X-axis, adapt the shape and scale of the profile as needed, go back to the top view, rotate minus 45 degrees, and here, position moving evenly on the X and Y axis. You can go on the inside to check that you're correctly placed and numerically adapt the position. Here, exit edit mode. You're going to see that the sphere is multiplied on the sides. So adapt the position and size of the sphere. Here you can do it from the median point now. Scale, check the position. Maybe I want to be lower here and adapt the scale as needed. So this 1000 doesn't have a path. The sphere of the 1000 directly multiplies on the sides of the square. Then it has some mirrors. Here it matches perfectly in the corners. Exit edit mode. And this is how you adapt and customize the square soft bezel cabochon setting. So now, last but not least, the round soft bezel cabochon setting. File, append, collection, those round bezels, 2 variants and 1000. Here we are. Let's check how it's made. Select the bezel, Shift S, cursor to selected, scale the gem, 20 millimeters, copy paste the scale on the Z-axis. Now take the round cabochon bezel and profile. Go to edit mode, front view. We can see that the shape of the bezel is already here. Work from the 3D cursor pivot point, scale the bezel and adapt its position here. Correct and tweak the design as needed. So this bezel isn't using a path. The final bezel is made with the modifiers directly. So customize anything that you need and make the design as required. Now the 1000, let's go to edit mode. The 1000 is made with an array around an empty multiplier for the 1000. So we can take the sphere here, adapt the position and scale from the median point, pivot here, scale more, and adapt the position as needed. Exit edit mode. And this is how you customize the round soft bezel cabochon setting in 1000. This was the user guide for the almighty 3D jewelry settings asset in Blender, tutorial number 2. Take care and see you soon for the next tutorials.